I'm Ted Keys, your host and top freight agent training expert here in Southern California. Welcome to this edition of your Freight Sales Success Training. After watching and applying it, you'll move more freight efficiently, effectively, and effortlessly, and make more money financially. And if you have any questions, call me, Ted Keys, at 626-309-9141. Now enjoy watching, learning, and applying. Hello and welcome to my Tuesday training call. Ted Keys, your host and top freight sales training expert here in Southern California. This is a free high-powered training I hold live every Tuesday for new, struggling, and top-producing freight sales agents, forwarders, and freight brokers at 2 p.m. Pacific Time and 5 p.m. Eastern Time. Today I'll show you how to move more freight efficiently, effectively, and effortlessly so you multiply your income financially. And after this training, go to my website, tedkeysonline.com, to hear more of my podcasts, read more of my blog posts, watch more of my videos, and then visit my Freight Sales Success store for top-notch freight moving products that multiply your income as well. When you arrive at my Freight Sales Success store, you'll see a host of products available there for purchase. First one you'll see is my Freight Sales Success Guide, typically for beginner and struggling freight agents, that when you join our top producing freight sales office, I do provide this for you free of charge. Next product you'll see there is my Freight Sales Success Quotes. These quotes will get you motivated daily for you to get on the phone and make connections and build relations with the marketplace. Third product you'll see there is my Freight Sales Success Skills. These skills, as you'll see, this profession requires a tremendous amount of different skills. My Freight Sales Success Skills will teach you what's required to become a success. And also, my next product you'll see is my Freight Sales Success Training that will take you from knowing little or nothing about moving freight to watching the videos and covering your first load and beyond. Those products available in my Freight Sales Success store. And while you're there at my website, on any page you happen to be, just go to the right and enter your contact details. By doing that, you'll receive your own weekly email invite to this and every training. You'll also get my free attachments I provide on every training. You'll also get my free report that's been downloaded thousands of times, 11 ways freight agents and brokers multiply their income. And if you want to multiply your income with my top producing freight sales success system for freight brokers, agents, forwarders, importers, and exporters, then go to tedkeysonline.com to get started. Today's training topic is how you eliminate freight sales excuses. Again, how you eliminate freight sales excuses. For those of you that are on my contact list and you got my invite today, just scroll down to any one of those invites that you received, open up that attachment on the bottom, and we are going to go over, again, my topic for today, how you eliminate those freight sales excuses. And let's face it, we all come across them. Unfortunately, me more than anybody. Not that I give them, but I hear them time and time again. So let's go ahead and talk about how you eliminate those freight sales excuses. And excuses come in every variety. Most of the excuses I hear are, this is why this didn't happen. This is why that didn't happen. And they're abundant. If there's one thing that I'm familiar with, as I said earlier, it's excuses. Why? Because I'm a teacher, because I'm a trainer. That's why I hear excuses, because students, one of the things they do, students or agents, they give excuses. They give excuses because they're not quite up to that level that they want to be. And this is all part of the process. However, I'm going to talk about today how you eliminate those excuses and get to productivity and success even faster. And let me ask you this, when did a lame excuse that you ever gave ever lead to productivity or success? I mean, let's face it, you give the same excuses day after day after day as to why you didn't produce or achieve anything. And really think about it. Did giving that excuse ever amount to anything? High probability is that it didn't. The thing that it does amount to is inactivity. It doesn't get you any closer to a goal. So again, let's talk about how you eliminate, or how you will, by what I'm going to talk about today, how you'll eliminate those freight sales excuses. Because when there's an overabundance, like dirt, like air, there's little value. Whenever you've got so much of something and so much of that is not required, it has very little value. And it appears like there's an abundance of excuses rolling around in our society today. I mean, let's face it. If you truly listen to what people tell you, or what you say to people, or what people say to you, half the things that you hear are excuses as to why you or somebody else didn't accomplish anything. What does that mean? All these excuses have very little value. Let me give you an example in the freight industry, okay? These loads, as you get better and better, but as we start in those commodities where there's an abundance of those commodities. Let me give you an example. Lumber. Lumber is a huge commodity that there's so much of. People purchase so much of it, and there's so much of an abundance of it. So what does that lead to? That leads to cheap freight prices. Okay. Let me give you an example. Minerals. I move salt. Salt is a mineral that's in huge abundance. Because of that, there's so many loads. Because there's so many loads, it's cheap. That's really what excuses are. There's so many of them that they're cheap. Not only cheap, but they have little value. So let me ask you two questions, okay? Just two questions. The first one is, how would you like to get rid of the excuses in your life or in the company that you're building, okay? Because let's face it, why did you not introduce yourself today? There's an excuse for it. Why did you not make those calls today? There's an excuse for it. When you don't do this stuff, you won't become productive. So that's the first question. First question again is, how would you like to eliminate the excuses in your life and your company? Second question, how often do you make excuses? All right. I mean, let's face it, we all make them. The point is, will you make them less and less and less? Because the less you make excuses, the more productive you become. The more excuses you make, the less productive you become. The two go hand in hand. A lot of excuses, low productivity. Little excuses, high productivity. I mean, that's the irony of making excuses and being productive and being successful. So, three ways to eliminate those freight sales excuses that you and everybody make in life and in this business. First thing you have to do to eliminate freight sales excuses is you have to acknowledge that excuses that you make will never improve your condition. Just like I said, if you make a lot of excuses, you're going to have low productivity. Because really, when we make excuses, it's like we're allowing ourselves to be unsuccessful. I mean, that's the irony of it all. We think we're getting out of something, but in reality, when we make excuses, we're being unproductive. We're being unsuccessful. So just acknowledge, not only acknowledge, but just be aware of all the excuses that you hear, because a lot of times we take on the habits of individuals that are around us. So think about the individuals that you hang around with. How often do you hear their excuses? Not only that, but how often do you listen to their excuses? Not how often do you believe their excuses? And the last thing is, how often do you then take on those habits and make excuses yourself? So the first thing you have to do is you have to acknowledge the list of excuses that you have to acknowledge the excuses that you make will never ever improve your condition. That's the first thing you have to do, okay? Second thing you have to do is you have to make a list of the excuses that you use in your hair on a regular basis, just like I talked about before. Think about the folks that you hang around with, the friends that you hang around with, the associates, the accomplices that you hang around with. Really be aware next time when you hang around with them. Say you're at a family gathering. Really listen to the conversations that are going on around you. You'll be amazed at how many excuses that you're going to hear from people that you're hanging out with, people that you're conversing with. And a lot of times you just sit there and you just nod your head like, yeah, I approve of the excuse that you're giving me. Yeah, that's too bad. That's unfortunate. Oh, poor you. So make a list of the excuses that you use or hear on a regular basis. Let me just give you a couple examples, okay? I don't have the money, all right? Think about it. I don't have the money. If you don't have the money, how do you expect to get ahead? Certainly in this profession, all right? You know, if you don't have the money, then you got to find the money. All right, because if you don't find the money to get ahead, you're going to be stuck down here where all the excuses hang out. You're just going to be overburdened with them. So I don't have the money. You know, how often do you use that? I don't have the time. I don't have the time to be productive. Well, if you don't have the time to be productive, how do you expect to be productive? Another one you hear all day, I have kids or I don't have kids. I mean, think of the irony there. You hear one, I have kids, because think about it. How often do you use your kids as an excuse to be unproductive? I mean, remember, these are kids you're raising to be, you know, profitable in society, productive in society, yet here you are using them as an excuse to be unproductive. So think about it. I don't have kids. I do have kids. How often have you used that excuse? I'm married, all right? Now here you're using your spouse as an excuse to be unproductive or not do anything. Or I'm not married. I mean, think of it. Think of the irony. You can be married and come up with excuses. You can be unmarried and come up with excuses. I have to find balance in my life. Balance from what? Balance from eating and watching TV all day? Balance from just hanging out on the couch all day? I mean, what are you attempting to find balance from? If there's anything, you have to balance the scales in your favor to be more productive. Again, just another excuse. I'm overworked. Well, if you're unproductive and unsuccessful, how on earth can you be overworked? Because only when you're successful and productive are you actually working toward a goal, working to hit targets. Think about it. I'm unsuccessful, yet I'm using the excuse I'm overworked. Well, how can the two go together? Because if you're overworked, hey, you'd have something to show for it. I don't have time to study. I don't have time to read your guide, Ted. I don't have time to take your tests. Well, again, how do you expect being lazy and not having time to I'm going to be successful? I mean, what do you think? Osmosis is going to creep into your mind? Okay, again, I don't have time to study. Your prices are too high. Well, if your prices are too high, there's a reason for that. And hey, with everybody, your prices are always too high. What do you have to come back with? What objection do you have to come back with to offset that excuse? Your prices are too high. The prospect didn't return my call. Well, what do you expect after you call them only one time? What do you expect after you call them only 2 times? What do you expect after you call them only 3 times or 4 times? This is a game of follow-up, okay? I'll repeat it again, as I do on every call. 80% of your sales will come between your 5th and your 12th contact. So think of it. How many times will you have to call that person in order to actually get business or win their business? Over and over again. If you're using that excuse, he didn't return my call, again, expect little to no productivity. The economy is bad. Well, let me tell you something. We are in the freight industry. If there's one industry that's always moving, whether in good time or bad time, is freight. I mean, think about it. Food. Economy's bad. What are we going to eat less? I mean, that's a great industry to get in. Why? Because we always have to eat. And when you're moving food, regardless of what it is, beef or cereal or whatever it is we consume, hey, if the economy's bad, your business will just keep rolling along into productivity, provided you do what's required to keep it up there. I'm too tired to go to the gym. Well, if you're too tired to go to the gym, then find something to do at home. I will tell you right now, I do not have a gym membership, yet I find ways to stay active and to stay healthy at home. Here's the thing. These excuses, they go on and on and on and on. The thing is, you have to make a list of the excuses you make on a regular basis and start eliminating them from your vocabulary. I mean, this is a conscious effort. It's not just going to stop because you wrote down a list of excuses. You actually have to make a list and then be aware of the excuses that you're making. Third thing you have to do, okay? Third thing you have to do to eliminate these freight sales excuses, these excuses that you make on a regular basis, is you have to sit down with your list and you have to find ways to take responsibility for it. When I say it, I mean for the lists that you're making, because that's what you have to do to eliminate these excuses. They're not just going to go away. Unfortunately, most of these excuses are ingrained into your head. See, I'm just here to give you an idea of how this all works. And how it works is you make excuses, everybody makes excuses, because you see everybody making excuses and everybody hearing your excuses. You just all think that this is just one big excuse or pity party. Well, you have to set yourself apart from the rest of the population, from 80% of the population, because most of the population will give you excuse after excuse after excuse as to why they didn't do anything. So let me just give you an example of actually taking responsibility. The excuse you give, I don't have any time, all right? When in reality, the truth is, what you should say is, I'm not being productive enough with the time I have, because everybody has time to be productive. So really, that's just taking responsibility for the excuse that you're making. I'm not being productive with the time that I have, all right? That's taking responsibility. That's actually saying the truth. Let me give you another one. I don't have time to study. I don't have time to read your guide or your quotes or get involved in your system that I just paid for. In reality, the truth is, this is the truth, education is not important to me. I mean, in reality, that's what you're saying. So take responsibility and admit, hey, education is just not important to me. Well, if you're going to be successful in this profession, you've got to educate yourself. You've got to start here and take those little baby steps to get up to success. Here's the thing. Most people that come into this profession, they just think they'll be successful because a truck driver or somebody else told them, hey, I've got a buddy that's a freight broker and he's doing great. You should do it too. Unfortunately, that's the attitude that so many people have when they come into this. Hey, Ted, I'm training with you. Because I'm training with you, I'm going to be successful. You're just going to, your knowledge is going to ooze into my mind and I'll be successful like you. That's what most people think. That's why there's such a tremendous failure rate. And that's not my fault. That's your fault. That's the agent's fault. Let me give you another excuse. Our prices are too high, or your prices are too high. When in reality, the truth is, I'm not about to properly demonstrate value to my customer. I'm not going to go out of my way and show my customer that I've got the goods to service his freight. I mean, really, that's what you're saying. You come back and say, oh boy, poor me, my price was too high. When in reality, if you show your customer that you've got the goods, that you'll do what it takes, see, because that's what they're looking for. They want to see that you're persistent. That's why most of them don't want anything to do with you after that first, second, or third call. You just haven't proven yourself yet. So, I'm not about to properly demonstrate value to customers. That's the truth, all right? Excuses are really about you accepting responsibility, and then once you accept responsibility, turning and do what's got to be done to be successful. Remember this most important point. Remember, you cannot control that which you refuse to accept responsibility for. If you keep shucking responsibility, you're going to keep making excuses. That's what it comes down to. One goes with the other. You accept responsibility, you're gonna give less excuses. You shuck responsibility, you're going to give excuses. High responsibility, less excuses. Low responsibility, a lot of excuses. That's the irony. Where do you fit in? Not only where do you fit in, but where are you going to go with this? Because you will not, I'll say it again, you will not be successful. You won't be a successful freight sales agent when you make a lot of excuses. Because again, when you make a lot of excuses, that means that you're making excuses and not doing the work. Want more control of your life? Stop making excuses and start taking responsibility. Be aware today of any excuse you make. Then find a way to accept responsibility for it. Great topic today. Again, that topic is how you eliminate, just like what I talked about, how you eliminate those freight sales excuses that you keep making in this profession and in your life. Thanks for joining me today on my Tuesday training call. Great to have you with me. I'll be here again next week, same time, 2 p.m. Pacific time, 5 p.m. Eastern time on my Tuesday training call. Take care. God bless you all. I'll see you all again next week on my Tuesday training call. Bye-bye. So to wrap up today's training, if you want to multiply your income to get more time, money, and freedom, then get my top producing freight sales success system at tedkeysonline.com. Go there now and get started today.